Alright, so another night. Don't really have that many views. Don't really mind. Uh, okay, so let's see. Yesterday I talked about the second drink I had. Um, kind of forgot what the time frame of it was. Um, at any rate, now this one, the third one, it happened. I want to say about 3 years ago, give or take. I honestly can't remember the actual time frame when it actually did happen. Um, but yeah, it's been some time. Um, because of the impression that I got from that dream, I actually posted about it on Reddit, so you can still find about it if you're interested in reading some of it. And I've posted some other things on Reddit as well. Right, so without further ado, the third dream. Okay, so this one is a little bit long. In my dream, everything was dark, and I had somewhat of a bird's eye view of the planet, I guess. And even though everything was dark, there were still some sources of light, like in back in those old movies, like in New York City, where you would see like metal trash cans um, with fire, with like burning stuff for people to keep warm. That was the source of light. There were like some metal trash cans with something burning on them. Well, as I am looking, I see. I already knew that there was a war going on. Two armies were fighting. The reason I'm not entirely clear, but anyway, um, I saw grass, field, as a whole bunch of people, and I will explain what they were doing as I go along. So, in it is like I said, it was dark, so it was pretty much the middle of the night, and in the ground, in the grass, I see a soldier. Now, this soldier was crawling, and he had a sniper rifle. Now, it was my understanding that he was carrying out a mission for one of the armies to assassinate someone, and so he was actually in what you would say, what you would call enemy territory. So as he's crawling in the ground, dragging his rifle, there was a little, kind of like a little trail, and someone was walking by. It was a patrol for the other army. So the sniper stopped and let the patrol go by, and then continued. Now the sniper made it to the top of a hill, and there I'm guessing he was getting into position. Now the next thing I saw was a little bit far away from him. There were about 3 or 4 people on their knees in the ground with their hands tied behind their back. Now these people that were kneeling on the ground, they were soaking wet. I thought it was water. Well, there was someone else standing, looking down on them, looking down on them, standing in front of them. Now, this person was part of the opposing army, um, basically the opposing army that the sniper belonged to. So this guy and the sniper were enemies. So anyhow, this guy that's standing up um, in front of the 3, 4 guys that are kneeling pulls out a lighter and just drops it on the ground. Now, the guys that were soaking wet, that was not water, that was fuel. So when he threw the lighter on the ground, these guys caught fire, and I could hear their screaming. I could feel their pain and suffering, the misery. It was terrible. But anyway, so they're screaming, being burned alive. It was just wow. Then about 30 feet away from him, from the guys who are being burned alive, I saw 3 to 4 more people kneeling on the ground with their hands behind their back, and another soldier, but this one was standing behind them. So the guys on the ground were facing away from the soldier that was standing up. Now this soldier belonged to the same military that the guy that burned the other ones alive belonged to. So the one that was standing behind the other group pulled out a gun, and I'm guessing execution style, killed the other ones that were kneeling on the ground with one shot to the head. So that happened. Um, then further away from that guy was a general of the same army, and he was kind of giving a speech to his troops that were about to go to war or something. So the sniper for the opposing army that got to the hill grabbed his rifle, took aim, and shot. His target was the general that was giving the speech to the other troop. So um, the sniper shot him in the head, killed him. Now the troops at first were in shock because their general, their commander, got killed right in front of them. Now this angered them. They were pissed. So because their general had just been killed or assassinated right in front of them, they began to fight the war that much more fiercely, more viciously, and this caused a lot more innocent people that were supposed to die. Well, more people died than it was supposed to, um, because the armies were fighting that much more fiercely. So then, after that, everything went dark, and once again, I found myself in the same street, in the same place as in the second dream, back home. Literally the same street, the same corner, the same place. Now, the only difference this time was that the entire view, the entire panorama, everything, the color was red, shades of red and black. So the sky, the clouds, the houses, the street, the trees, everything just had a red and black tint to it. Um, so as I'm looking around trying to figure out what's going on, a pillar of light, like a golden light, yellow golden light, fell from the sky right in front of me. And as soon as the light faded, there was a being standing right in front of me. Now this being was twice my height. I am 5'9", so I am not really tall, but I'm not really short either. I'm average height. Well, this thing was about twice my height. It was tall, and it was wearing kind of like gray blue, uh, gray blue robes, and the features of the face, like the face features, they were feline features, and I don't know what this thing was. I don't know what this being was, but the first word that came to mind was alien. But the weird thing is, I didn't feel any malice, any bad or evil intentions from this being, from this alien, and um, suddenly I was not by myself anymore. There was a girl standing behind me, kind of behind, but at the same time, kind of like next to me. And when I turned to look at her, I didn't recognize her because when I looked at her face, it was blurry. I couldn't tell who she was, but I could tell that she was supposed to be there. So, anyhow, this being motioned for the both of us to follow it. So, we did. And as we started walking, I thought that it was going to lead us to a ship to take us to a different, well, to a ship. That was not the case. This being took us to a mountain. And as we walked halfway through to the mountain, I stopped to look around, and again, everything is red. But I got the feeling that the that mountain was familiar, that I had been there before. Now, normally in dreams, I don't feel um, anything, whether it's pain or emotions, but this was different. So, anyway, as we get to our destination, I see a glowing, it was a black orb with like a golden rune sigil, some character that I had never in my life seen before. It was golden color and it was in the center of it. Now, this being reached out and touched it with a finger, and when the being touched it, a pillar of light came from the orb, and as it hit the ground, it spread like a spider web or like a lightning would spread. And at the end of each line, a circle with, again, a golden pattern, a golden sigil, or a rune in each one of the circles um, had one in the center. Now, each rune was different from the other, like no rune was alike. And I immediately understood that every circle was actually a portal, a gateway to a different world or a different dimension. So the being that was with us moved to one, and it was waiting for us to follow it, which we did. Now then, everything went black again. Everything went dark. And then when I came to, I knew that I was in a different world. I was not on Earth anymore. And I started looking around, and I saw a giant room, spacious, very spacious. And there were machines, screens, lights everywhere, and there were different beings. I don't know if they were human. I couldn't tell what they were. But they had white robes, and the robes had hood, and the hood, their hoods were covering their heads and faces, so I couldn't see whether they were human or not. Now, these people were moving frantically, like there was a sense of urgency about them. In the center of the room, I saw a table-like machine. This machine was projecting a hologram. The hologram was of planet Earth, all the continents, all the cities, all the nations. And in this hologram, there were lights that would light up that would represent cities. So certain lights would go on and off in different continents. I didn't know what those lights meant, but around the hologram of Earth, there were these hooded beings around it with their hands raised up to the hologram. And for the first time, the being that brought us there spoke. And he or she, it, said, "We have been with you," meaning with humans, with humanity, for a very long time. We have been trying to help you to make peace, to come as one, or to become as one, but now it's too late. Before I got a chance to ask this being, what it meant by it's too late, um, my consciousness faded. Everything went dark again, and when I came to, I was back on Earth, giant, wide, grassy plain. It was huge, and there were some tents set up, and there were a lot of people. It was utter chaos. Everyone was screaming, yelling, and at first I didn't understand what was going on. But then um, I saw presidents, I saw people from the church, important people, CEOs, you name it. Everyone was there. Then I finally understood. Everyone was so frantic because they wanted to make peace. They finally wanted to unite and, be one race, one people. So I looked up. Well, I didn't look up. I saw a shadow, a giant shadow that that was coming towards us. Then I looked up, and what I saw was a giant outline, a circle outline of what I thought was a planet. Then my head started hurting, and I went behind one of the tents, and I was about to crouch down holding my head because it hurt really bad. My consciousness again faded, and when I came to, I was back with the being, back in the same place that it had taken us to. Then I looked up at the being and I told them, or I told it. So that's what you meant by it is too late, meaning that it was already too late for humans to come together. It was too late to make peace because it was the end of everything, that there was nothing we could do to stop it. So again, my consciousness faded. This time it shifted from where I was to outside of Earth, outside to in space, in the solar system. I could see the entire solar system. I could see all of the planets. And as I was looking and just being amazed at this sight, I saw a giant planet just flying, speeding through space, as if in a game of pool where you hit the cue ball. This thing was flying, and the course, the trajectory where it was heading was in a crash course or an interception course with our planet. So when it came, it hit Earth and it just completely destroyed it. The impact was so great that Earth just exploded. So right before the impact, it kind of rewinded back a little bit before the impact, and my consciousness shifted back to the surface of the planet, back to the grassy plain, and the shadow that I saw at the beginning, the approach of that planet. So, um, yeah. So there's a little bit more to the dream, but I think I'll stop it here for tonight since it's getting a little bit long. Anyhow, I hope that someone actually gets to um, listen to the streams or find some meaning interpretation before, well, before it's too late. Alright, with that, I'll end it here for tonight. Good night to whoever gets to